So when I play guitar here on the YouTubes, I generally get two questions, like all the time. Question number one is the guitar good for high gain? And question number two is, can I play AC/DC on that guitar? Or is it good for AC/DC playing? And like honestly, the AC/DC thing is going to be more your amp or your signal chain going into your amp. Humbuckers will help you out, but that's really going to be your amp or your signal chain. But today on Cryptic Mass Guitar, we're going to take a look at this Epiphone Les Paul Special that I rented. I'll put it through a couple of different tests so you can see if it's good for high gain. Now, I don't want to have this really long and drawn out intro. It's already long enough as it is because of the AC/DC thing. So I have this video divided into 3 sections, and there's chapter markers, so you can skip my stupid talking right now. But section 1 is 2 sound samples with leads built into them. Section 2, I like to call 1 riff, 12 amp heads. And section 3 is 1 riff, 8 different cabinets with 8 different speaker types. These are real 4x12 cabinets with a real microphone in a real room right next to me. I don't get along with IRs. So let's start out with section 1, shall we? Sound sample number 1 is DADGAD in C with a lead, and sound sample number 2 is D standard with a harmony section and a lead. On to section 2. Let's get excessive. Are you ready for this one? So whenever I make videos, because I have a lot of amps, some people know that I have certain amps, I usually get the comment of, man, I wish you would have played this, or I came here hoping you would play this amp, or why didn't you play that amp? I really didn't like when you played that amp, I wish you played this. So I'm going to give you a little bit of coverage here, and we'll do one riff over and over. It's probably going to be like 3 minutes and 20-something seconds long worth. We're going to play that 12 different times with 12 different amp heads. See, I told you. That was excessive. Very excessive. So let's do the same thing. Basically, we'll sort of split the difference almost. And we'll do one riff with 8 different cabinets. These are real 4x12 cabinets with different speakers in them. And it's in a room next to me. Now, I have to explain this very quickly, and it's really annoying to me. But I use a condenser microphone. And a lot of people who you know, have the home studio in their basement or in a room or something like that, they love to tell me you can't use a condenser to record guitar. Except they've never heard of the U87 before. The issue with condensers is they will pick up a lot of noise if you're playing at low volumes. So when you're playing at low volumes, you have to drive that input so it starts picking up different things. I play at high volumes. I have a treated room with 2 different Prime Acoustic London 10 kits on the walls and bass traps. So I'm able to crank the amp. And from there, I use a condenser microphone to pick things up because I don't have to drive the input on my preamp because I'm driving the volume, the master volume, on the amp. And because there's treatment on the wall and there's a little bit of reflection, it's controlled reflection, it's not picking up unwanted noise. Most people do use SM57, Audix i5, or the Sennheiser E609. Those I call the usual suspects. You can toss in the Shure SM7B, the Sennheiser MD421 and MD441. Those ones, they're all dynamic microphones, so there's a lot of rejection there. They work really well in a live setting for that purpose. In order to get your signal properly, you really have to drive that preamp input for your DAW, whatever you're using, your audio interface, sorry. The thing is, dynamic microphones, for the most part, they come across as all mid and all high frequencies with this weird synthetic low end, which is fantastic in a full-on band mix where you have to make space for a kick drum, a bass, and any other instruments, and even a vocalist. Certain ranges, I guess, that could actually interfere with it. So that works really well because guess what? This is a mid-range instrument, right? That's where the frequencies are. However, the Neumann TLM-107, I've done tests and tests and tests and tests with different microphones. That microphone there accurately picks up what I'm hearing from the cabinet in the room. So I actually do capture that low end, the mid frequencies properly, and the high end properly. So that's why I'm using it. So that's it for all the different sound samples and the different tests and stuff like that. I like to, here, at this portion of the video, I like to just try to answer 3 questions that I figure I'm going to get. And it's usually the same ones. When it comes to a guitar with P90s, a lot of people think for some reason P90s you can't play high gain or can't play metal or anything like that. Not the case. People, for some reason, think that it'll react sort of like a Fender single coil or even like a Filtertron, where if you play with a humbucker and then in the exact same settings play with like a Strat or a Telecaster or a G6120 or something like that, you notice that those guitars start to clean up the signal. That's not the case with P90s. Question number 2, still on the P90s here, and that's usually what pickups are in the guitar. So these here are the Epiphone P90 Pros. In comparison to Gibson USA or Gibson Custom, they're not as hot. They're sort of skewed on the high end and missing the same mid-range focus that the Gibson has, especially the Gibson Custom, where they're just a little more articulate. But that doesn't mean they're bad. These are actually really, really good. The high end that's in it will help you a little more in a high gain scenario. However, you'll probably want to dial back a little more on your treble because of it. But as far as P90s go for high gain, this right here, your Bridge P90, it just has a lot of punch and attitude in it. I've always found a Bridge P90 in a mix for high gain with a humbucker, you'll hear the P90 a little more. It just gives your mix a little more depth. There is definitely going to be a little bit of noise when it comes to these, so maybe double up on your noise gates, but you'll be able to make it work for you. And the last question here is the neck. This neck profile here is the vintage 50s. Now, it's not as sleek as the Gibson version. Does that matter? No. But I do have to note, I think it's just because of the amount of poly that's on the neck here. It's just a little more than the amount of nitro that's on the Gibson. So it's not as sleek, but it is still extremely comfortable. It's not a slim taper neck. And I say this in every single one of these, but the slim taper neck, there's the thought out there that if you're using a slim taper neck, because right here, if you're putting your hand around it with a chunky neck like the 50s vintage, your hand doesn't have to really alter itself. It's kind of in a natural position. Slim taper, the thought is instead of doing this, it's doing this, and it's going to cramp your hand and promote hand fatigue. I've never really experienced that myself, but it is something to note. I don't know how people deal with the Wizard neck if that's the case. You know what I mean? That's the ultimate slim Wizard 2 or 3. I don't know what one they're on right now. But yes, this is a chunky neck profile. Not as chunky as, say, a full chunky C neck or the baseball bat neck, but it's got some girth to it. Thanks for watching.